Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Each week, our hosts will be interviewing local, regional, and national business leaders to give you an inside peek into how they lead their business to success in the ever-competitive business climate.
Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Today I have a very special guest. She is actually in Denver today, while I'm up in Longmont. Fitz Koehler is among the most prominent and compelling fitness experts and race announcers in America, with a master's degree in exercise and sport sciences and decades of experience teaching fitness worldwide. Fitz has helped countless people live better and longer by making fitness understandable, attainable, and of course, fun. She has spent decades building her brand and business, FITZNESS, and has earned global reach and financial freedom. Her mission to help others live better and longer never changes, but her tactics frequently do. Fitz, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Lance, from my beautiful hotel room, my Hyatt in Denver.
Hey, I love the Hyatt. That's my favorite one to stay at, too. I was going to guess that looked like a Hyatt room for sure.
It's got a great gym.
Yeah, I bet it does. Before we get into what you do now and your ever-changing tactics and all of that, I always have to ask everybody, are you from a family of entrepreneurs? Are you the first? What drives your entrepreneurial spirit?
You know, my dad did own a collection agency, so he was always a business owner. We didn't talk too much about his business as kids, but perhaps he made business ownership seem possible. And to be honest with you, when I started teaching fitness at 14, and as I was trying to figure out how do you turn this job, right? Because teaching fitness, it's normally a job. How do I turn it into a full profession, a career, something where you could buy a house, pay it off, buy a car, pay it off, go on vacation? And when I looked around in the fitness industry, there was nothing that appealed to me. I didn't want to work in a gym. I didn't want to, there was just nothing I wanted to do. And so I just decided I would have to create a career. And the only way for me to have satisfaction professionally was going to be to incorporate and build my own business with my own rules, doing it the way I wanted to.
Beautiful. I love that. I mean, you just had to create your own niche. I mean, I'm sure that's like part of the whole freedom of it, right? I mean, you are creating your reality. Interesting that you started at 14. So I have to ask a little bit further about that. Like, were you in high school sports? Like, how could you start so early?
Well, so I was always in sports, actually always quite mediocre at sports. I love to play. I love to be a part of a team, wear the uniform, get dirty. My older siblings were elite athletes, and that escaped me. But I blew out my knee playing soccer, had ended up with physical therapy. And I thought, wow, this is kind of cool. I like this environment. I like helping people. And then my PT started working on my incision, which was gross. And I'm squeamish. I was like, I don't want to be a PT. That's nasty. Yeah. And then when I finished physical therapy, he told my mom, get her in a gym and get her strength training or she's going to re-injure her knee. So my mom lied and she said I was 16 so I could join Spa Lady Gym in Fort Lauderdale. And so I started going and enjoying it. And then eventually, I'm a worker bee. I always love earning. So, for all the worker bees out there, high five. I love getting a paycheck. I love business, right? So even back then, I was working at a Cinnabon in the mall, because that's where you work when you're a teenager. Sure. And the manager was nasty. And I finally just decided I don't want to work here anymore. I applied at the gym, and that was a Tuesday. And the manager, he goes, have you ever taught fitness before? And I said, no, but I do your classes and I really enjoy them. He said, can you teach a class on Friday night? And thank God I'm a gamer, because I just said, okay, sure, I'll do it. And it worked pretty well. And he hired me, and the rest is history.
Yeah, very cool. I love that. I love that your mom helped you get in there. It is what it is. I mean, that's a really cool story. So on the note of stories, tell us about your comeback from cancer. I mean, that's a big deal. You're looking down the barrel of a gun. And it's like, here you are. You came back, you ran a marathon. I would love to hear about that.
Yeah. So, interesting. I'm the girl who walks the walk. I don't just talk about fitness. I live the lifestyle. I'm a vegetarian. I don't do drugs. I almost never drink, yada, yada, yada. And February 2019, 7 weeks after a crystal clear mammogram, I got out of the shower and I went like this, and I found a lump and knew what it was. And my phone was right on the counter in the bathroom. So I picked it up and I made that phone call instantly, which I encourage others to do. And within about a week or so, I had all the appointments and scans and biopsies, and a doctor called and said, you have cancer. So It was a very aggressive, fast growing cancer. I had, again, it was 7 weeks after a clean mammogram, sizey tumor. It would already spread to my lymph nodes, multiple lymph nodes. And I definitely thought I was dying just because it was going so fast. And, I also thought, well, I have the perfect life to me. I have this perfect career and this perfect family. I'm the beacon of health and happiness. I will definitely make the perfect tale of tragedy. I thought for sure I was going to be a Lifetime special one day, where they're like that fitness pro that went down in flames. Thankfully, my oncologist was able to convince me early on. He said, listen, you have to endure the cure, but we have a cure for you. We will cure you. So I was very grateful for that. And so then I had to make decisions, and I chose to use perspective. I wasn't a kid with cancer, wasn't my kid. And with that, I decided, be grateful, suck it up, and put on your big girl panties, figure it out, which I did. Now, I cried every day. It was a very stressful, scary, difficult experience. However, I never had pity for myself. That was a big, big one. I chose to pursue my passions. I decided before I had, they put 1 drop of chemo in me, which I had for 15 months. I had 15 months of chemo, 33 rounds of radiation, surgery. I call it the treatment triathlon. I decided I wasn't going to let cancer steal time with my kids. So if they had a sports ceremony, a show, I was going to be there. And then my career. So I announced some of the largest, most iconic running events on earth, about 36 every year. And that's a Los Angeles Marathon, Buffalo Marathon, Big Sur Marathon, monster events that make me so happy. They bring me so much joy. They're my career. That's how I earn my income. And I knew that if I missed them, I would just be sad and I would cry. So I decided I was not going to let cancer steal my career. So what happened after that was, just the wildest ride ever, because I ended up violently ill. I was, imagine living with food poisoning every day for 15 months. I was exploding. I was so sick and everything went wrong with me. My fingernails ripped off. My eyes changed colors. I was bald, the whole thing. But I just decided, okay, I'm going to do this. And I never missed a second of work. I never missed a second at a finish line on a stage. I never missed a moment when my kids were doing something fabulous. Was I hospitalized? I was once for one day. Did I deteriorate? I sure as hell did. But, this is the power of your mind, where if I would have taken 1.5 years off for treatment, nobody would have blamed me. I would have blamed me. I've spent decades building my brand and my business. FITZNESS would have completely fizzled out if I had just disappeared for 1.5 years. Instead, I pushed forward and my business tripled in the time I was sick. And really the great gift was, no matter how sick I was, even if I slept on those hotel bathroom floors, because it was so bad, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, my alarm would go off. I'd drag myself off the floor. I'd get dressed. I'd head over to my stage at the start line. And then absolutely everything disappeared. All the bad stuff. I stepped on those stages and I wasn't sick. I wasn't suffering. I wasn't tired. None of those things were issues. It was me focusing on these thousands of wonderful people and these incredible events. And it was miraculous. It really was magic. And so, besides the perspective and, that passions, everybody should have it. Whether you love to paint or you love to punch numbers as an accountant or you love to be with animals, when stuff hits the fan, lean into those things. Don't say, well, I'm not going to watch football or I'm not going to play football. Throw the damn ball. Even if you've broken every bone in your body, find a way to, do something with a football if that's what you really love, because it will heal you.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Tell us about, so, you started teaching at 14, technically, after going into that. Then what is the lead up to starting FITZNESS? How did you become a fitness expert? How does that all fit in?
Yeah. So my fitness instructing evolved. I worked at that women's gym for a few years till I graduated high school, went to University of Florida, applied to teach at the student rec centers, which were a big deal. And they instantly said yes. I spent a summer after my sophomore year working on a cruise ship in Europe, which was very interesting, and teaching fitness. And then when I came home from those places I'd never even fathomed going, Norway, Russia, Estonia, I'd never even heard of Estonia. When I got back to UF after teaching, there was a TV producer casting for a fitness show, and I auditioned and he hired me. And, I learned two big things when I started working in television. Number one, my skills were transferable. So besides just teaching in front of a live audience, I could teach to the camera. And then number two, strangers started approaching me, and really meaningful to me is a stranger coming up and saying, "Are you Fitz?" I am. I love your show. I work out with you every day. I've lost 17 pounds.
Wow.
And so, I knew I was helping those people that were showing up in my classes at UF. But the idea that this, it was a morbidly obese waitress at a barbecue joint I was eating at who told me she lost 17 pounds. And I was just blown back. I thought, gosh, I got to help someone who's not my social circle. There was no way I would have met this woman to help her, but then I got to help her. So my attention turned towards mass media. A few years later, I wrote an article. I was a competitive kickboxer for 10 years. And people used to write a whole bunch of articles on me. And finally, I got the courage. I was afraid to ask. I really wanted to write the articles because they kept butchering the information.
Yeah.
But I was afraid to ask the editor, can I write? And that came out of a particularly brutal training session. And I just had that aha moment. I bought a magazine with me in it, 4-page color spread, and they misspelled my name and they made up quotes. It was infuriating. And I thought, I wish I could write the article. This is terrible. And then I thought, you know what, dummy, you walk into a ring surrounded by thousands of people with someone who wants to knock you unconscious, and you're afraid.
Yeah.
You ask for the opportunity. So that was a big aha moment. So I recall this editor, I think it was Black Belt Magazine. And I said, "Hey, Bob, it's Fitz. Hey, Fitz, how's it going?" I said, "Great. I have a question for you." He said, "Okay." I said, "I would really like to write an article for you guys." He goes, "Oh yeah, that would be great." And he goes, "How much do you need for it?" And I thought, he said, "Yes." And he's going to give me money. And so, after that point in business, boy, I learned to be fearless, because if it does not include bleeding or broken bones, I'm not afraid. I'm okay with rejection. I'm okay with someone not wanting to work with me. But yeah, so I write the article, and it was called "How to Kick People in the Head." And it talked about strategy, flexibility, and the strength to lift your leg. And a few weeks after it was published, I got a handwritten letter in the mail from some guy in Kentucky. And he said, "Fitz, I just want to thank you. I've been doing combat sports and martial arts for 10 years. And thanks to your article, I finally kicked someone in the head." And I thought, the angels sang. I felt like I kicked that guy in the head, hilarious. Right? Yeah. So mass media, I knew that was the thing that I craved, because it was mass audience. I could help more people. And that was it. So my entire business, FITZNESS, was built. I had a friend who is an attorney who said, "You need to incorporate, or you're going to get, if you get sued, they're going to sue you. You need to have a shelter." So FITZNESS was born. I obviously have a fitness expert named Fitz. So FITZNESS is my brand, and I trademarked it right away, which I'm very, very grateful I did that. But so I've been building it, but I got completely out of working in gyms and personal training decades ago. All I do is work on a microphone, or, I write the books. I do a lot of keynotes, and I want every effort I make to reach a huge amount of people. So that's FITZNESS.
Well, let's talk about that, the huge amount of people. So, obesity in America has become a giant problem. The latest statistic that I have seen is that 73% of Americans are listed as overweight. It's sort of weird, because then you look at the BMI, I'm almost on the verge, but technically, no, I'm not. I just cranked out 60 push-ups in a row. I take fitness seriously. But what do you think is the root cause of this? And then how are folks like yourself, who are at the forefront of, I think, solving this crisis, where do we go from here? Because it seems like it is not heading in the right direction.
Okay, so that's a lot to unpack, but I'll start by saying, the majority of people, if I say I'm speaking to an audience of 1,000, if I could say who out there would like to lose between 1 and 1,000 pounds, almost every hand goes up, right? Even if it's just a little bit, you're fine tuning. Most people would like to lose a couple. And for those who are happy with their weight, good for you, as long as it's a healthy weight. The problem, I think, parents aren't teaching healthy habits, but I'm going to turn my ire towards the shady part of the fitness and nutrition industry. And I don't really even consider them fitness and nutrition people. They're lying scumbags who want to take take advantage of people. You know, this whole weight loss product, diets, pills, weight loss shakes, it's all garbage. 100% of it. If it's a food product or nutrition, it has the word weight loss or diet on it, they're lying to you. There is no product you put in your mouth that inspires weight loss. So yeah, there's a lot of snake oil. There's a lot of lies, and people are easily manipulated because it's something they want so desperately. And so this is why I'm a very eager opponent of them, because it's not okay. You know, I so desperately love people. You know, when I say I want to help people live better and longer, I mean it so deeply. And I was overweight. I know what it's like to be uncomfortable in your skin. And then from when, you know, with cancer, I know what it's like to be weak or tired and not feel good. And those are really reasonable things to want. So, you know, shame on those liars, but also buyer beware, folks. If you hear the words coming out of my mouth, you should never fall for a diet, no diet, period. No diet, not keto, not whatever. None of them are reasonable. So what you need to do is learn to eat the right amount of the right food for the size you want to be. There's a simple formula. It's on average, humans burn about 10 calories per pound of body weight per day. So let's say you weigh, for round numbers, you weigh 100 pounds times 10, you're burning about 1,000 calories every day. Just going about your business, brushing your teeth, walking around the office, digesting food, pumping blood. Excuse me. We're constantly burning calories. So if we weigh 100 and we're burning 1,000 calories a day, if we would like to stay 100 pounds, well, then we eat 1,000 calories, right? We want to even out. If you are gaining weight, we know you're eating a lot more than 1,000. Excuse me, I get a tickle. So, you know, the exact formula for weight loss. And if you go to my website, FITZNESS, it's FITZNESS.com, but there's an article on the top or a box. It's free. And it's called the exact formula for weight loss. But virtually what you learn is to take your goal weight. So think about that. I want to weigh 173 or 255, whatever it is. You take that number, you put a 0 on the end. That's your goal weight, or that's your caloric budget. So if you want to weigh 150 pounds, you eat 1,500 calories per day. That's the amount of calories it takes to sustain a person of that size. Eventually, your body will eventually shrink down. So that's the nuts and bolts on weight management. It's calories in versus calories out. Here's health. You know, you could lose weight eating 1,500 calories in donuts every day.
Yeah.
I'm hoping you can edit this out. I'm so sorry.
I think it's wonderful that there's no noise when you cough. You're good, Fitz. It's okay.
I'm so sorry. I've got this tickle. So, so you can lose weight eating garbage. However, that's not good for you, right? So what I always recommend is 80 to 90% of your intake should be nutritious. You know, it's kindergarten stuff, fruits and vegetables and seeds and lean proteins and beans and whole grains. And if you do that, you've got wiggle room, 10 to 20% of your calories. If they're not so perfect for you, okay.
Okay. Sorry. I was just writing some notes while you were talking there about that. So there's 3 things that I think of. And I think 2 of them are propaganda and not from you, but from outside sources. So I'm not by any means, I would never do that to you. So like one of them, I think is like, I would just love to hear your take on it is, you know, you're seeing sort of this, people like Joe Rogan, right? Where they're flat out saying, you know, look, the food pyramid should have been inverted, if anything. You know, this idea that the lobbyist groups came in and said like, oh, the whole base should be a bunch of carbs. I would love your take on that. Like, who's really telling the truth with that? Second one would be seed oils. It's all in the news. I mean, it's sort of on the dark web. People are going like, wait a minute, this idea that we are taking seeds and concentrating them, it's just as bad as when we took sugar and then we highly refined it, right? So like sugar in an orange versus that. And then the third one is these sports companies and all of these magazines coming out and saying like, and literally putting obese people on the covers and saying it's okay to be this way. I would just love your thoughts on those. And I realize it's also a lot to unpack. Okay.
All right. So for starters, eating shouldn't be that complicated. When people tell you need to count macros and you need to get these seed oils, I don't buy seed oils, I buy seeds. So all of these products you probably don't need. And what I find is people are taking advice from, I'm going to call them know nothings, even if they have a hot body. You know, are you taking advice from a credentialed professional?
Yeah.
You know, there was some neighbor of mine many years ago. I think he sold phone cards. Like, you know how you get a phone and you get this card and you dial out or whatever. That was his big profession. And he was obese. And so he showed up at my house trying to get me to sell his weight loss products. I thought, what? And I asked him, I said, what credentials do you have in the fitness space? Oh, well, I don't, but you know, these things really work. Okay, well, you haven't lost any weight. You've been the same obese guy for the past 3 years. And I'm very comfortable having an honest discussion saying, you're obese, you're still obese. How are they working for you? Well, it's not about that. No, it is about that. Yeah. So, you know, when someone comes at you and says, you should buy this from me, all right, or you should take my advice. Really, even if they have a hot body, where did they go to school? What is their, my master's degree is exercise and sports sciences. So I lay that out on the table. I can talk nutrition. I do not consult with people. I do not do private nutrition consulting. I don't tell people this is what you should eat. When I talk about nutrition, it's in the most simple, provable forms, right? We know that, you know, when you eat a variety of colors from the produce department, you're getting more nutrition, you're building your immune system. Those foods are very low in calories, very dense with fiber, dense with nutrition. And you can eat a heck of a lot of them without paying a price. So I'm trying to go through your questions. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. So how about this? Maybe I think you've addressed sort of the food pyramid one. It sounds like it's basically, I think the word you use is like a product. So in other words, process. Like I think we need to get rid of the process idea, right?
Yeah. And here's the other thing too, is when we're talking about produce, it's maybe 10 servings a day. Some servings of produce are 20 calories, like a zucchini, small zucchini is 20 calories. So if you have your 10 servings of produce, let's be generous and say you might get 400 calories. Okay, well, the rest of us, even a small person like me, I have 800 more calories to deal with. So you're going to have some protein, right? I'm a vegetarian. I'm not eating meat, but I'm eating beans and nuts and so forth. But I eat a lot of potatoes. Like I'm a potato girl. I'm Irish and potatoes are packed with nutrition. So perhaps the lower end of the pyramid doesn't mean that you should have 20 servings of starchy carbs. Perhaps what they're saying is you're likely to get more calories. You know, they're probably going to have more value throughout your day. If you have a sweet potato and a baked potato, you're probably going to get 200 calories at least right there versus a squash and a zucchini and an onion. That's 3 servings for 50 calories. So that may be where the food pyramid is going, not, you know, volume of food, but caloric value. So that's where I think Joe may be misconstruing it, but people aren't perceiving it the right way. So we should have those conversations. It's a great question. And then the other topic you brought about on the promotion of obesity as health. And so
that acceptance. I mean, honestly, let's just call it a breast. That's the word. That's the phrase.
Yeah. And so here's, I love everybody. I care about everybody. I don't care what you look like. I don't care who you sleep with. Your size, the way you look is none of my business. So people come to me for advice and they're like, I want to, if they tell me when they want to eat or achieve their ideal weight, I'm like gangbusters. Let's go. If they say I want to look hot in a bikini, I'm like, oh, all right, that's not my problem. I can help you get to your weight loss goals. But it's my daughter. I have a teenager. Well, gosh, she just turned 20, but she has a famous singer she likes who's morbidly obese, dances, beautiful woman, very pretty, very talented. But my daughter's like, she's so great and she's beautiful at her size. Okay, well, beauty is different than healthy. And the reality is no matter how beautiful you are and how great your skin is and your makeup and your style, your joints are suffering. If you are walking around with an extra 50 to 200 pounds on your back, there's no way we could call you healthy. Right. If you're obese, your joints cannot bear the weight. Eventually you will pay consequences. The discs between your vertebrae. It's like walking around with a 50-pound backpack all day. We know what that's like. I mean, you've run through a theme park with a backpack or just traveled, you know, at an airport, your back hurts when you carry extra. I can't imagine lugging around an extra 50 to 100 pounds. So it's not okay. It's not okay on your joints. It's not okay on the discs. It's not okay on your heart. and your lungs. And no matter how wonderful you are and thoughtful and generous and kind, I'm not going to call you healthy if you're obese. Can you be active and obese? Absolutely. I know. I mean, I support tons of people who are obese, and they exercise, they run marathons, they do incredible feats physically, but their bodies are still paying a horrific price for their obesity. So it's not okay. And it's not okay only because I love them and I want better for them. Smoking is not okay. Obesity is not okay. Alcohol overuse is not okay. And to celebrate larger sizes, not okay. If we can celebrate that larger size people are getting active, I'm okay with that. Does that make sense? Is that a fair assessment?
100%. I think it's pretty objective. Yeah. Everything you said. Let's go back to the books. I just want to make sure we touch over them. So this is a show for entrepreneurs, business owners like yourself. But like it's so important because of the things you mentioned earlier, just happiness. Your energy level is going to be better. You're going to have hopefully set yourself up for a long life and thus a long business. So that's why I think it's important to have somebody like you on the show today, Fitz. Tell the business owners listening to this show why they should consider reading your books.
Well, for starters, your health matters to your profession. And again, we talked about energy and vibrancy and so forth. But when people look at you, do they think, hot damn, she's a go-getter, I want her on my team? First impressions are set in 7 seconds. So someone across the room staring at you doesn't get to know your credentials. They don't get to hear how eloquent you are, how insightful you are. They just look at you and they think, yep, no. And maybe sometimes you get a maybe, right? So your posture, do you stand up tall? Do you project strength and energy? That's who gets the job, right? It's not only the person who gets the job, it's the person who gets the promotion. And would we maybe take someone with lesser credentials that shows up like a dynamo ready to go? I think so. So your health matters to your professions. Now, the books I have right now, I have a memoir, My Noisy Cancer Comeback, Running at the Mouth While Running for My Life. That's it's a wild ride story of the collision of cancer care and race announcing, travel, and keynote speaking. So I think that's a fun story anyone can enjoy, but I focus a lot on mental fortitude. And those are the things that anyone can take with them: the power of perspective, positivity, passions, remembering you can do hard things. I mean, when I compare my time in a kickboxing ring to these business trials, I go, the business stuff is not so bad. I'm gonna forge forward. So that's book number one. The next books in the Cancer Comeback series, this one is probably the most important. It's called Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, Sick to Strong. Now, Lance, I got to say, I hope 0% of your listeners have cancer, right? Yeah. I hope nobody out there is in this book, in this boat right now. Sadly, many of you will be at some point. But even more relevant is that everybody loves a cancer patient, right? Everybody loves a cancer patient. This book is the blueprint. So to stop the decline or slow the decline. Cancer is difficult. Cancer care is monstrous. And, if you know your muscles are going to atrophy, would you rather start off like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson or Mick Jagger? Right? So can you put yourself in a stronger place before things really kick in? So, right when you find out you might have cancer, there's guidance on how to do your best with exercise between now and when treatment starts. This is how you keep exercising. This is how you utilize nutrition and quality rest when your treatment begins for chemo, for radiation, for surgeries. These are the nuts and bolts. There's a huge chapter for exercise, which I'm really proud of. So there's tons of photos, and many of them start off with regular stuff, standing. But, when you get sick, things start going south. Sometimes you can't stand. So here's dozens of exercises you can do in a chair. And then if you're too sick to get out of bed, here are things you can do to preserve mobility and strength in bed. And then, if you're like me, especially if you're sick all the time, when I was a sick person, I probably had to get in the shower 3-4 times a day. That was my time to stretch. And so here's a whole bunch of soggy stretches. Sorry. Yep. So, it's practical, usable guidance to actually help cancer patients preserve their mobility, their balance. Balance is so important because without it, you're likely to fall. And all of these drugs and all of these treatments they take from you. They take. So this is how you preserve. And then, when I hit rock bottom, which eventually did happen, I was skeletally thin and dreadfully weak. And I looked at myself thinking, holy cow, how did this happen? But I knew exactly how to build myself up. I was like, okay, well, this is how I'm going to fix this, right? I knew exactly how to design my workouts and my nutrition to get back to not only fit, but highly athletic. I ran the Boston Marathon a little over a year after finishing chemo. Yay me. However, at the same time, when I was down low and I knew how to dig my way out, all I could think was, oh my gosh, for all of my peers, my cancer patients and survivor peers who have hit rock bottom and they don't know how to dig their way out of that hole. It's a nightmare. I mean, cancer is so tough. And I know everybody believes that, right? We've seen it. We've seen it at the worst. We've all lost someone. So this is the solution. And there's nothing like it on the market. And so again, I hope none of your listeners have cancer. If you do, you're going to want this. But what I found with my noisy cancer comeback is everybody wants to do something for the person they love. And so the great majority of noisy books have been purchased by, oh my gosh, my dad has brain cancer. Can you get him your book? My sister has colon cancer. Can you get her your book? So they're gifts. And this is, when you think, gee whiz, I want to help, this is how you do it. So it's this, and soon out will be the Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal, which is filled with really useful prompts on your diagnosis, your medical team, your scans, and so forth. But then we get into it's a cathartic place to put your fears. There's prompts about your faith, and then prompts about fun. Because believe it or not, cancer can be hilarious. It depends how you approach it. And
Sure.
I think it's important to have a great attitude and look at the bright side no matter what. But there's prompts asking, have you nicknamed your tumor? Have you nicknamed your port? What celebrities do you look like bald? Probably the best one I got on a regular basis was, you look like crazy Britney Spears. And I would say, thanks. So
Thanks. Yeah, sure.
Wow. I've got a bunch of interesting comparisons, but yeah, these books are useful tools that hopefully will help millions of cancer patients rebound and recover in a hurry.
Yeah. We're running up on the half hour here, and I've got three last questions for you. When we first started this show, before we went on air, you said we could talk about anything. So I have a let's talk about anything kind of question for you. As a woman athlete, what is your opinion of the infiltration of women's sports by people like Leah Thomas?
I want everybody to have a chance to participate in sport. I would like an open division. So anybody who doesn't actually qualify in the women category. And again, I'm happy to call someone her, and I'm happy to be a friend and support, but I don't like seeing athletic women being taken from, because men are, proven
physiologically different.
Superior. Yeah, they're faster, they're stronger, they jump higher. That is proven time and time again. So it breaks my heart to see these women that have worked so hard to achieve greatness and, face a superior being. And I'm okay as a woman. I'm okay at acknowledging that, I love men. And I can say I love trans people. Yay for everybody. But I do think an open division would be better. And to be honest with you, I'm a middle of the pack runner. I will never win anything. If there was an open division, I would be happy to participate in it, just so those who are forced into the open division don't feel like it's a group of weird people. I would say let's get in there and be supportive of this group together. But yeah, I don't like seeing I don't like seeing that. I want Leah to have a place to compete, but I'm not sure it's the right place is against biological women.
Yeah. Knowing what you know now, and if you could go back in time when you first started your business, what is one piece of advice you'd give your former self?
Don't be such a chicken. Don't be such a chicken. I wish I would have gotten more comfortable asking for opportunities, asking for money, negotiating. Those are things that now I enjoy. I kind of look forward to. Yay, business, right? But I was a chicken and I shouldn't have been. So Fitz Koehler of the past, step it up.
I love that. I love that so much. Fitz, this has been fantastic. Last one is, where can people find and follow you if they want to learn more about you and what you do and your wonderful books?
Well, thank you so much. So my home base for everything is FITZNESS.com. Again, it's FITZ as in zebra, NESS. It's just fitness with that Z in the middle.com. Tons of free resources. So if you'd like to lose weight, get in shape, there's free videos, free recipes, free articles. The exact formula for weight loss is right on the cover. I implore anyone who wants to lose between 1,000 and 1,000 pounds to read that. My books are on sale at FITZNESS.com. They're also on sale worldwide at all major retailers. But if you come to me, I sign 100% of the books that leave my office. They all come with a fun little gift because I like to take care of people, and we're talking about cancer, and they all come beautifully wrapped in really fun packaging just because why not? I love making my readers feel special, and I'm always very grateful when someone invests in a product I've created to enhance their health. So FITZNESS.com. I'm also at FITZNESS on all social channels. And this is what I request is that if you follow me, I promise to provide quality content in return. But really what I'd much prefer is that you say, Fitz, I heard you on Inside the Firm, and I'd like to connect because I would much rather have friends than followers. So if you follow, say hi. Beautiful.
Fitz, thanks so much for your time today. We wish you nothing but the best, full success in the future. And we thank you for your time.
Thanks, Lance. Bye, guys.